What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to solo the Pit of Heresy. Now, there's a lot of people that have already done this, and I figured, why not join in? So, the build is very simple and straightforward. Number one, specifically for Titans, you want to be on Code of the Devastator. Code of the Devastator has one of the most powerful melees in the game, and when stacked with Roaring Flames, it becomes even stronger. Where this becomes important is that most of your damage is going to be coming from your hammer. Step one of this Pit of Heresy run is that you're going to need a shotgun with 1-2 punch. It doesn't matter what slot they're in, but I personally recommend something like One Small Step for the kinetic slot so that it's easier to quick swap if you're using controller. Next, it doesn't really matter what your secondary weapon is. You can have a primary, you can have another special, but to me, it didn't really make that much of a difference through the multiple runs I've done of this. Next, you want Tractor Cannon. Bit of an oddball, but also not at the same time. It complements the build really well because you're going to be in their face, and it makes it so that your throwable melee really kicks their ass. Personally, it'd be best if you had the Catalyst because it's kind of funny. When you get to the altars, you have 7 shots, and I believe you only need 6 you'll only need 6 of the 7 shots to complete the altar section, which is a great way to keep track. Next comes the main part of the mods and the build that you'll be needing to work around. Number one, you're going to need a mod called Well of Life. Well of Life states that when you pick up a solar elemental well, you get an increased regeneration for a short period of time. When it says regeneration, it doesn't mean something like recovery where you start healing faster. It means you literally start to heal constantly for roughly 10 seconds. It's not very fast, but it's very helpful for pretty much all parts of content in the game, at least from what I experienced. Next, I'd recommend having double hands on from the artifact, though it's not really necessary. You're not going to be using your super a whole lot here. And if you do, it recovers pretty quickly anyways, so just don't worry about that. For most of the armor pieces, you probably want to stick to a strength mod, so that if your melee, let's say, flies off into the abyss like it can do on the final encounter, it'll more quickly regenerate so you're not wasting too much time. Next, you're going to want Thermos Classic Blooming from the artifact mod. Well, you don't really need it, but it's very helpful with another part of the build that I will be going over in a bit. Next, you want Melee Wellmaker. This is the key to the entire build, on top of having 1-2 punch shotgun. It states that when you get a powered melee kill against a combatant, you spawn an elemental well that matches your subclass type. This meshes very well with Well of Life because you need to pick up a solar elemental well. And since the throwing hammer is the only melee in the game that constantly regenerates itself, excluding Bottom Tree Striker before they ripped it to shreds, you can constantly be making solar elemental wells, regenerating your abilities, and keeping your health regeneration constantly going. Next, for the chest piece, I recommend putting on Concussive Dampener because it'll help you with the ogres, it'll help you with a bunch of like the grenades that the acolytes throw. Anything AoE is quite helpful. Like anything that reduces the damage from AoEs is quite helpful. It even reduces the damage from the final boss when he quakes, which is another obnoxious feature of every enemy, but it's alright. As I said, you want strength mods. It's good to have decent melee recovery. Next, I personally went with Elemental Light, which states defeating a combatant with your super spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. The only reason I'd recommend this is because not only is it cheap, but in the final encounter, if, let's say, you just need a quick solar elemental well for your healing, because the boss will be doing some good damage to you, you could pop your super, kill some enemies, and then you could still use your super for pretty good damage against the boss. It's very helpful. So don't skip out on this mod if you have it, or if you can acquire it. Next, for the majority of this run, you're going to be using Dune Marchers. Dune Marchers with the throwing hammer allows you to constantly be chaining lightning and dealing with adds. It doesn't insta-kill anything besides Thrall, but the acolytes are basically dead after you do it to them. what I have built on the legs isn't really important, but it's quite helpful. First, they gotta be solar, but you want the mod Recuperation, which states replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power. This works very well with Thermoclastic Blooming because every time you get a powered melee kill, you'll drop an orb of power. So every time you get a melee kill, you can start your health regeneration, you get a flat heal, and you're recovering your abilities. Absolution is also helpful, though you don't really need it. You're mainly just going to be building around using the melee the whole time. Next, this is also my own personal recommendation. I suggest using Elemental Ordnance, which states defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental will that matches your subclass energy type. Reason why I recommend this is because just like with Super, you never know when you might just need something to heal you quickly, and you don't want to accidentally waste your melee and have to worry about scrambling to pick it up. It's very useful for keeping things under control, so just keep that in mind. Next, for the class item, it doesn't really matter what you have on here. I have Particle Deconstruction and Thermoclastic Strike just because, well, actually I don't even need them, but I have them there. I actually have two Titan marks that I use. I don't know why I have this one, that are just there for being masterworked. But yeah, that's the majority of the build, which is you're going to be using your Throwing Hammer to generate Elemental Wells, and with the Elemental Wells, you're going to be recovering your health like crazy and keeping yourself alive. Then with 1-2 Punch and Tractor Cannon, you'll be obliterating every single enemy that comes your way. So I'm going to start up the encounter, and I'm going to give you a run through the entirety of the dungeon. I can't guarantee that I will solo flawless it, but it's pretty easy to solo it even if you lose with this build. Now, another thing I forgot to recommend was that if you're on controller, it's very critical that you have another button set to only your charged melee. Reason being is because when you use, later on, you're going to be using Syntheseps. You're going to be running into issues where you're going to be hitting the enemy with your melee because the range is absurd. The melee range is absurd. So you're going to want to keep something, or you're going to want to set a button to charge melee so that you only throw your charged melee. I have it set to my right stick because it's easy to press, and it works well with looking around, and I don't need to sacrifice any other important buttons. The only detriment to having it set to the right stick is that I also have it still set to finishers. It's useful because when I actually want to do a finisher, it makes no difference. But specifically when you're running through this, it becomes kind of annoying because sometimes after the Thrall are dead with the chain lightning, and like maybe you're not paying like the most attention, you'll finish them and then it'll just like burn time rather than stacking up your Roaring Flames. It becomes quite an inconvenience at times. So if you've got something like like an elite controller or whatever the other variants of controllers that have additional like buttons are, I'd recommend using that for the dungeon. You don't really need the flag. The flag is pretty much worthless because you're going to be using your melee the whole time. Alright, so a lot of people, I don't know if you have issues with this part of the dungeon, but I used to have issues with it. Finding swords are a pain in the ass, but if you go specifically to the symbol that looks like an egg, which I'll show you in a second. Again, see that symbol? Which is like right below where you drop in. It always has a sword bearer in it. And you can also check the symbols that you need to go to hanging from the ceiling. See how powerful that is? Alright, so my symbols this time are, and this is how I like to label them, round sandwich, golf tee, and flat sandwich. Pretty interesting way to label it. I've done this like 1,000 times, and since I always get the golf tee as one of them, I always leave that one last because that's closest to the exit. Now, luckily for me, the ones I need to face are pretty close together, so I won't have to be running around too much. But yeah, this should be pretty easy. Dead. Don't even need to kill them because I got the knight. You just run into the room. The knight spawns or thrall sometimes, I guess. That's pretty funny when he doesn't. You can take up to 3 hits from the knight when you're sword dueling him, if your resilience is enough. But just be careful and like after every 2 hits block. I'm not being that careful because it's not that difficult to deal with. Okay, that's one down. Next I gotta go to, I think it's the square sandwich. I can just ignore them, they're no big deal to me. Bye, Ogre. You know, you're not gonna threaten me at all. Yep, there's the square sandwich right over there. And this one is probably gonna be the wizard. So yeah, I hate this so much. Now you can see, I got some healing going on. I hate the wizard. Well, okay, I don't know if my sword has enough energy for it. Another note for you is that when you place down the sword, it causes it to drain energy. That one, okay, that's yeah, I'm gonna probably need a second sword. Best way to attack with the sword is you use the power attack button, which for me is right trigger. And you want to like press in a direction so that it cancels the animation. Otherwise, you won't be able to swing as quickly. I'll show you. Right now, I'm smashing the power attack button, as you can see in the indicator on the bottom right. And it's not fast at all. Versus if I'm like trying to backpedal while I do it, I can spam the swing. You can also just jump around and do it. You can quickly like switch your camera. It looks like I need this for the sword, just barely. My one small step has how do I say it? Slice shot, so I don't need to worry too much about upkeep with the weapon with it. I can just quickly like slide and cover the ammo. Right now, I'm kind of just waiting for a sword bearer to spawn, which we've luckily got right now. Dead. And this sword should last me to the end because the Shrieker is a joke. Alright, bye-bye. For people that have never done the Pit of Heresy before, there's actually little altars that I'm standing on, which you can see here, that send you pretty high into the sky. And you can use the sword's light attack to basically fly across the entirety of this section here. Not the most useful, but it helps to not having to deal with the ogres. Although you can insta-kill them with the particular build that we have going on here. And while this is going on, I want to give credit where credit is due. I did not discover this build. It's something someone else discovered, and where I bought it from, I was watching, I believe, Esoteric, and he did a really speedy speed run, solo flawless of the dungeon. I am not creative enough to create a build for weapons on me. I gotta do it, which is gonna be a bit of an annoyance, so I'm just gonna use my super here. And obviously Burning Maul is best super, so it clears them easy. I cannot wait for one soul to put on themselves, and I can just use the throwing hammer whenever I want. It's not always going to be the most picked option, I don't think, for anybody, because bottom tree Sunbreaker's melee is just so good in things like PvP. But the throwing hammer is absurdly powerful in PvP. Like, there's no doubt about it. Maybe it won't be as powerful without Roaring Flames, but I mean, you're going to be using Roaring Flames with this hammer. Because it just does so much damage. Like, it rivals special ammo weapons. Here, I'm not going to pick up the reward. I don't care about anything that drops in the Pit of Heresy for the most part. And even then, there's a good chance it was probably just some worthless helmet that I wasn't even going to use. For those that don't know, all of these doors are a trap. So where you see that green glowing light down below on your right, that is where you actually want to go through, which was really funny to figure out the first time that I ran through this dungeon because I never expected it to just be a random crack in the wall. Oops, I got stuck on that. Keep going forward. Next is the Ogre Maze. The Ogre Maze, I used to dread this encounter, but now that I've run through it a couple times, like at least like 8 or so times by myself, it's not a big deal. It's probably the easiest and least time-consuming part of the whole dungeon. Note to you, if you're gonna run through this, the throwing hammer cannot break the little mushy thingies that like you have to break to get into the caves. So just keep that in mind. Happens like most of them gone. I can just ignore all the enemies here, or I can hit them with the ball because I have do Marcher's effect active. And then, personally, I run around to the outside first because it makes it easy to deal with. Just dunk the ball real quick. Best thing to do is when you're carrying the ball is you pick it up and you swing it in the air. Though if you're like me and you don't want to burn through your controller, it's best not to do it. Although it's a really nice burst in speed, so that'll be helpful. I'm actually gonna clear out these real quick because I got something I have to do, and I'll continue the run when I get back. It'll be pretty easy. Alright. So, I got the Void Orb. I've already taken care of the right side. And so... let's see where... and so I will show you what to do next. It's not that bad. Let's see. Alright, guys. I am back. Had to take care of laundry, so now that that's out of the way, I can continue with the run. Okay. Ogre here, he is absolutely no big deal. He actually might give me a boost in the direction I want to go, and yes, he did. There's better ways to maneuver around the Ogre Maze, but this is real simple. This is simple enough for me. I just go back over the way I came, using the speed of my Titan to quickly traverse the map. Sometimes it even throws off the Ogre's tracks a little bit, and they can't quite get you as easily. Okay, the next section might actually be a bit of a problem, because if I remember correctly, that I'm not doing too good on special. Yeah, okay. I believe Knights in here. Yeah, I'll just use Tractor Cannon. Alright, I got the final orb. And as you can actually see the healing that's going on. It's not very quick, but it's very helpful. So the final orb is going to be on the outside, and I'm sure a lot of people dread that side of the Ogre Maze. You don't have to go outside. You could just use the caves to maneuver around it, but I want to show you that it's actually not even that bad. So here he is running straight at me. He's got nothing though. You go underneath here on this left side near the ledge, and you can easily get around it. For those that don't know, there's like a little part of a quest that you can get done here where platforms will rise up and you can exchange one of these balls to access a certain area. I believe that is for the Xenophage quest, which you can watch other people for that. I've already completed the Xenophage quest, and it's long and not exactly the most thrilling. Now here, I accidentally started it, but basically you just want to just keep your hammer going. The altar actually gets pretty scary here because the oh, hold on, I was not ready to start it yet, so I'll just be bumping around a little bit. Basically, you just want to keep your healing going. I always go after the enemy on the left first, Tractor cannon, throw your hammer at them, they die in one hit. Now, the altar here is a little bit scary. When it starts to catch on fire, it does mean that you're going to be dying very soon. So, there's no need to really panic if it starts like catching on fire. You just need to be careful. What I like to do here is... Oh, I didn't pick up my melee. I did not pick up my melee. Okay. Well, here's where the super is useful, and having that super portion that generates an elemental well comes in handy, because Burning Maul can't naturally heal itself. So, yeah, this is where it came in handy. I don't have my melee back yet still, so I'm gonna have to be careful. See, there's another elemental well. It's gonna save my life probably. Just keep moving around. Come on, melee. Okay, sweet. Alright, I'm good to go. I can go after the next knight. I didn't pick the right one. I did not want to punch him. Okay. You do not need to pick up the orb right away. Oh, it's on fire. Oh, it's on fire. Oh, it's on fire. Okay, I'm good. You stay here for a second. I'm actually going to drop the ball so that I can clear out some of the enemies, damage them a bit. That is not what I wanted. Also, for those that don't know, Curse of Suffering increases the damage that you take from all enemies in the encounter. So, be wary of that. Okay, I'm going to actually spend some time to clear out the enemies, because they racked up pretty quickly. Take your time with the first brawl. And then book it. Book it for the next night. See, this is the one that's scary because it starts to catch on fire pretty quickly. As I said, just drop the ball when you have it. Start your healing up again so that way you can safely start dunk. There's definitely a better way to manage this. I need to reload my tractor cannon. Okay, we're doing fine. We're doing fine. Again, that's not what I wanted. I could just show you how to do this quickly, which is what I'm going to do. Screw it. Waste my time. There was something I also forgot to mention. There's a noise that the altar makes when it's done being recharged, so that you don't have to like just sit around and, oh my god. Okay. The sloppiest run you've ever seen of this. I'm actually going to use my super here because my health's getting kind of low. And I want to clear out the enemies that are spawning. Okay. See? Enemies nice and gone. There's not a knight there. See, I did not do a good job of maintaining this. There's the noise that I was talking about that signifies that you're okay. Alright, I'm done. Okay. Let me slow it down and explain how to properly do this. So, when this encounter starts, basically you want to maintain the plate, and the plate, it'll make a noise as you are hearing a little bit throughout that. That sounds very clanky and mechanical. Once you hear that noise, that means you're good to go to another altar. The way I do this is I typically I rotate. I believe this is clockwise to clear the knights. First one I go after is on the left. I kill him with the tractor cannon 1-2 punch throwing hammer combo. It'll drop an elemental well, which will start my healing, and I can go dunk the ball. Then after that, there's 2 ways you can handle the extra enemies that spawn. You could just completely ignore them and let them rack up because they're typically just thrall, or you can play it patiently and just wipe them out, which I wasn't doing very effectively with Dune Marchers. Then go to that one and repeat. I believe you only have to dunk 6 balls, and during the encounter, when you have something called Curse of Suffering, which you can see on the top left corner of your screen when it's there, the more of it you have, the more damage you take. So you actually want to be quick with the dunking of the balls. Otherwise, you'll start to really get hammered by the damage the enemies can deal to you, and it becomes quite scary. Luckily, the throwing hammer starts health regen. You get healing from the overpower mod if you've used your super, and then you get healing from the elemental well. Now this section here is my least favorite part of the entire dungeon. I'm not pretty sure. I'm sure the enemies spawn randomly, like in different positions, and having to find them in this maze that's kind of like, well, it's not linear. It's kind of linear, but it's not fun to deal with. Let's just put it in idiot terms. It's not bueno. No funno. So what you want to do for this encounter is you want to follow your radar. Your radar tells you where you gotta go, and what you're looking for is some wizards. The wizards need to be killed. There's 3 wizards that'll spawn that need to be killed. Luckily, you can see them over there. It doesn't really matter how you tackle this. You can run in like an idiot. I would not recommend it though, because as you can see, you kind of die. But maybe don't tackle it like that. Man, that's a waste of time. Okay, don't do that. Wait, there's symbols here. Is that telling me where to go? Probably, I don't know. I never really paid attention to those. But I'm gonna go the way I went originally. Hopefully the enemies will spawn there again. And this time I won't be an idiot and run straight into enemy fire thinking I was invincible. I should have activated my super. Alright, but anyways. But yeah, you gotta kill 3 wizards that are scattered throughout this maze-like section. And they are not exactly difficult to kill, but a bit annoying to track down. Luckily for me, they spawned in the same side again, and this is where actually having a sniper rifle comes in handy. Because you can just quickly clap the enemy's health bar from a safe distance, which I should have done originally, and you can move on. Typically where the wizards are is actually a dead end, so when you go that way, it'll either just loop you back to where you'll all have to just backpedal back to where you were a little bit ago, or it's just a straight up dead end. After you kill the wizards, all the acolytes will despawn, and so you don't gotta deal with them. That was close. And now comes the part where I just gotta find the other 2. I'm almost 100% sure that there's one that's in this direction. It always seems to do that to me, because it knows how much I love avoiding these spiky balls when I was doing solo flawless runs. Not spiky balls, this spinny logs. The splogs. So far I don't... Ooh, that was close. So far I don't see anything. Ooh, actually, I think there's one in there. Like I said, they like making me run around the spiky logs. Wait for this one to go away. Go over it, no problem. And those are just some acolytes, or some thrall, I mean. Oh, I got the Shrieker one. Let me get rid of these clouds. Bonk. The first time ever running through this, I got caught by the Shrieker because I wasn't aware of how quickly it would kill me, and I had no ranged weapons. Like I didn't have like a sniper secondary. I just ran in with my primary. Not my primary, with just 2 shotguns pretty much. Now, once the wizard backs off, you can kind of just go run. Oh, okay. Kind of run in and tractor cannon them. You don't need to save the ammo because you won't be needing very much of it anyways for the final encounter. Which hopefully I can show you how to do swiftly because it's honestly not the most entertaining encounter that you can participate in. Is this the wizard? Yes, it is. I got lucky. And now I can continue. Sweet. Yeah, the main takeaway for running this dungeon in particular, solo flawless, is just try to be a bit aggressive, but just also be smart about your movement at the same time. If you play too grounded, if you play too not like slow, not like that's not what I mean, but like if you don't play let's just say hustle. Let's just say you got to be a little quick. Man, that did not come out right. Anyways, you just want to be on your toes, like with anything when you're dealing with difficult content. But especially here because there's so much going on. But you don't want to panic. You need to put a little bit of faith in that healing that you're going to be getting through your throwing hammer, as well as the elemental wells. It's a little challenging to do that sometimes because in other dungeons, I believe enemies do different damage. It feels like enemies do different damage in each of the different phases, but here they found it pretty weak. So, what we need now is Big Daddy Syntheseps. Syntheseps is what carries this encounter. What's going to happen is I'm going to take care of all 3 of the enemies. If you've never done this before, it's just like in the very first encounter where you have to use the Knight Sword to take care of each of the enemies with their respective techniques. The wizard needs to be taken out with heavy attacks, which is the beam. The knight needs to be taken out with light attacks. You can also use the super with the sword to kill him, and the shrieker needs to have the bullets reflected. Once they're taken out, they'll drop balls that I'll dunk into the altars, like one of the altars that you'll see there. And then once all 3 are done, it'll start damage phase. Damage phase, there'll be a fire ring around where the boss is right there, and you have to be inside of it to hurt him. What's very important is that you have Roaring Flames ×3, and that you have biotic enhancements ready. Then it's up to you to deal damage. The first step is to tractor cannon him. For 5 seconds, he can take, he'll be taking about 30% more damage, which is very, very good additional damage. Then after that, you're going to be using your 1-2 punch shotgun. I believe against bosses, you can actually, if you're quick, you can get off 2 melees before you have to reapply 1-2 punch again. So that is good. What else you want to do is you want to be careful because the boss quakes and he knocks you far. So you want to kind of position yourself in between, like where you see the barricades right there, so that you don't get knocked away. I'm probably not going to do that because I'm an idiot and I always get that garbage wrong. But I'll show you that it's pretty easy to deal with, and you should be fine if you just play it safe, or you just have confidence in it. That's something I wasn't too good at dealing with at first. I was like, oh, I was seeing I was red or I was dying, but I wasn't realizing that the healing from the elemental, the Well of Life mod was so useful. Just being able to constantly heal, it's just straight up broken. You actually get to kind of be a warlock for a second there, using Devour. Not as strong as that, obviously, but we get the job done. Alright, so with the orb, I actually found that dunking it right at the one that is in front of is a mistake because the boss is quick. You want to rotate around to one of the other directions to get it off. So we gotta get a sword here. I got my healing, so I'm gonna take care of the Shrieker. The Shrieker's the easiest one to deal with. Can't do nothing. Let's get my healing going. See, this is where the other buttons being set to charge melee comes in handy. Okay. Jump. I want to keep up with my attack as well. Okay, that was close. You just gotta have confidence in your healing. That is not what I wanted. Okay. Now I'm just gonna circle around. Let's get it. Let's need the sword. And I can take out the knight. Which should be here, right? Yep, there. Just use the heavy attack here. You'll never run out of ammo against the knight. The knight's pain. The knight's a weak link. Can't handle your power. It's not quite confident in its speed. Alright, you got the super. I'll show you here. You can use it for damage. Boom. Just a big chunk of its health. I like the swing because sometimes it just staggers the boss, the knight. Just outright misses you as well. So you can take about 3 or 4 hits from him. Alright, so now that you have the final ball, what you want to do is you want to get ready. Ready? Not for ready. You want to get ready to hurt this motherfucker. So here's where grenade, the grenade, Andy, where's my elemental well? They did not drop one, so I'm gonna take one up now. Okay. Tractor cannon. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I need to keep up. Roaring flames, so I'm gonna run around. I missed my super, so I'm gonna back off. Not back off, but get out of there, or else we die. Well, I completely messed up damage phase, so you're gonna have to forgive me for that. It was I'm actually gonna leave the Shrieker. Where I want to go next. I want him to deal with the knife. Yeah, my hammer decided to track to the abyss. You're not supposed to be in your butt. But as you can see, I did about half its health, and I only threw like 2 hammers at him. 2 or 3 hammers. So I could have done a tremendous amount more damage. It's a shame I couldn't show, it's a shame I couldn't show you like a 1 phase. But I never really got that down. I found it's safer to just kind of back off and give them the 2 phase. If I don't mess it up here. Lose the damn knight. All right, first one down. Load my shotgun real quick. Get some ammo in. Yeah, look at his health. Oh, good. Where's the knight? Yeah, I leave the Thrall alive because they're useful for keeping biotic enhancement. And my roaring flame stack up. Come here. Alright, I got my healing. I got my roaring flame, 1 stack of roaring flames, and I got my soul. Stack of flames. while I'm watching through this, I could probably just cut out some of like the additional like nonsense. But I don't know, maybe people really want to see it. I doubt they want to see it. All this fluff. Alright, next ball is ready to be done. Last one alive is the Shrieker. Easiest one. Oh. Oh no. Oh no no no. No no no. See? Heal. I like people. Heal good. I didn't finish it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Let me out of here. Come on. Just kill all the enemies here. Get them out of the way. Now it is damage phase time. Hopefully I do not mess this up. Yeah. Probably. Like that. What was that? But I got my biotic enhancements, I got my stuff. That is not what I was doing. Alright, let me... Where's my hammer? Where's my hammer? Where'd it go? And I messed it up again. Oh, I'll just show you the super class the boss. I messed up twice. Oh my god. I really messed up twice. Are you serious? Alright. I did not have this much trouble fighting that guy, or killing him when I wasn't recording, of course. Everything's got to be a little bit worse when you're recording, as always. And I don't think it was because of like this trying to be commentary, though. I just completely messed up the trajectory of the hammer. I was panicking a little bit, I believe, trying to get it right. But we are fine. We are fine. We can do this. Great. Let's just get this Richter out of the way. I'm here. I'm ready. Just use the sword attack here. The sword heavy attack is right here. I could use it to clear the enemies on the other side, but I don't care. Another little thing that's good to have is a decent amount of recovery so that you don't have to wait as long for your health to start regenerating. There goes all my acolytes, my thrall. Why did I mess the name up? I didn't leave a lot of thrall to keep my biotic enhancements up. Oh boy. I mean, as long as I have my super, the super should probably just kill him. Come on. Yeah, another time to hide. Alright, final one dead again. Let's just preemptively get up some stacks of orange planes, or a stack of orange planes, just like kind of not have to worry too much about not having enough enemies. Yeah, next phase, this phase, I should have I should have it. See? When it goes right, everything's easy. But I actually didn't die against this boss. So, that could have been a solo flawless if I didn't completely mess up at the at the maze section. But regardless, as you can see, even if you're not the greatest at this, as long as you keep on your toes, as long as you're confident in your build, it's pretty easy. Thank you for watching, if you did. If you didn't, I'm coming after you.